Void? Hello, Void. How are you doing today? Well, late last night, I finally got around to seeing a movie that. I can't say I've been meaning to see this one for a while, but I've been aware of this one for a while. And that is All Hallows Eve 2. The follow up to the All Hallows Eve, which really helped introduce the world to Art the Clown, who then went on to Terrifier. And as Terrifier 2 is just released, well, that really wasn't the reason I watched this, it just happened to come up. Now, I've been aware that there was an All Hallows Eve 2, but something about it just, whenever I glanced at the description or just the poster, I wasn't drawn into it. Something about it just, even that little snippet just didn't have any pull. Well, I ended up watching it, and I think I made the right choice in not making this movie a priority. It came out in 2015, which I think was just 2 years after All Hallows Eve, and it does follow a very similar premise to the original All Hallows Eve. This one is that one, rather than a kid finding the tape in his trick-or-treat bag and them watching it with the family. This time it's one girl alone watching it. And it's a tape that's just kind of left for her by a masked man wielding a knife. Yeah, okay. So, the problems from this one are kind of apparent right off the bat. The wraparound segment is boring. It does absolutely nothing. So, essentially, it's a woman who's not acting very well, complaining that her boyfriend isn't calling her while fooling around with a Ouija board. Then she looks out her window and sees a man with a knife. Looks back, he's gone. After talking to someone on the phone, she hears a knock at her door, goes, checks it. Oh, there's a man with a knife down the hallway staring at me. And she just kind of figures it's like a weird Halloween prank. But there's a VHS tape left for her right there, so she takes it in and pours a glass of wine and watches it. And in between each of the segments, you will see the man in the pumpkin mask just flash on the screen for a second, getting a little closer. And occasionally we just get her reactions of her disgust staring there, but usually, we don't even get that. We occasionally later cuts back to her being afraid, and then all of a sudden, guy with the pumpkin mask, who apparently is called the Trickster, but you never hear that in the movie, it's just in the credits, is just there behind her, and apparently her watching this has allowed him access in some supernatural way, and now he gets to kill her. Except for there's no tension, no thrill. You don't know really anything about this woman other than she whined at the beginning, and then there's no development along the way. You don't know anything about the Trickster. Like I said, his name came out in the credits. He doesn't say anything. He's doing the Michael Myers thing, but poorly. I mean, all we get out of him is one head tilt, and that's pretty much it. He's boring. And the segments in this one aren't all that much better. Some of them are so short, there's no time to really get involved in any of it. And the one or two that does breathe are so few and far between. I'm not even sure I can remember all of them, because there were a lot of segments, I will say that. For an hour and a half, put a pin in that, movie, there were a lot of segments. There was one that involved eating pumpkin seeds and suddenly having pumpkins explode out of you. That was okay, but the kid was really annoying. I will say the gore effects in that one were good. There was this... I don't know what the order of that any of those. There's one called Masochist, where this kid is... Then where there's like this weird carnival setup where people are throwing knives at a victim. That one's weird. Not bad, but weird. one with a woman coming, dropping by her friend's place to discover her murdered, and then hides from the killer, and now she starts seeing him everywhere. That was okay, but some of them were just try to see it. Then a treat for Mr. Tricker was just a guy using bodies in his Halloween decorations, which could have been interesting, but that's just, again, it's so short you don't get any effect on it. The last Halloween had some interesting ideas, which is like a post-apocalyptic Halloween, but it's again doesn't take any time to develop it. Trying to think of trying to scroll through so that might give me some of the segments, because I tried looking up a synopsis for this, but it's so vague that nothing's really said. There's one called The Offering, which is an interesting premise again, but they don't do much with it. Of the father and son going and making an offering. Just try to look at some of them. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the two that I actually liked. There's one, I didn't even really get the name of it. It might have been A Boy's Life, but I'm not sure. Which was a kid who's so sure there's a monster in his bedroom. Classic setup. But the way they go about it is actually pretty heartfelt, because his father was just killed in a war recently. So his mother assumes he's projecting, and as he keeps coming asleep in her room, but there does seem to be something lurking in the darkness. They do actually build up some decent tension in this one. And while the payoff is only okay, it had some emotion, and it was well put together. The kid wasn't the greatest actor, but I can forgive that in this case. And then on the last segments, Alexia. I really like the makeup. I really like the execution. But for some reason, maybe it was just the version that's up on Tubi. Possibly. It was in Spanish. Fine. But I didn't get any subtitles. There's nothing indicating what should have been said here. Despite that, you could tell enough about what was going on. And it was decently creepy. And the makeup effects were actually quite horrifying. So, that one, I just wish I could have understood it more. So, there's all those, and I might maybe even forgetting a segment or two, because there were a lot of them, and not all that memorable. Most of them were just kind of weird. Or underdeveloped. Now, that all is in a 90-minute movie, but remember that pin? It's more like an hour and 19 minutes, because the last 10 minutes are credits. Because they go through each individual segment and give it a full treatment. Also, the writer and director behind the original, the mind behind Art the Clown, he's a producer here, but there's no other involvement in this project. So, that's, I think, one of the reasons why we're just not getting any of the, pizzazz that the last entry had. What was that? Damien Leone? Now, he is very good at what he does. This one, just 3 MacGuffins. And that's only because of the makeup effects and the 2 that actually had some tension. The main wraparound was... You don't usually watch one of these for the wraparound, but this one in particular was dull and pointless. So, pass on All Hallows Eve 2. There's nothing here that warrants seeking this one out. It's an okay to put on the background of a Halloween party because of the Halloween themes in most of the segments. Not all of them, but most. So it can serve that purpose. Beyond that, nah, it's not worth it. Yeah. Okay. That's all on this one. I'll queue up something else soon. Take care, Void.